and welcome to today's session. We're going to have a couch discussion about the natural mom versus the modern mom. And yeah, we're going to quickly just introduce ourselves, but before we do that, we just want to say this is not the typical discussion where we take sides. You know, who's better? It's not a camp situation like I'm the modern mom and you the natural mom. Nope. We want to provide you some tips with regards to both sides. So let's start. My name is Marina Juester and I'm a registered kinderkineticist. I also received additional training from integrated learning therapy, and then I'm also a SNAP consultant for autistic children. And I know, Marina, you also had some additional training, ne?
I'm Marinda Bueta. I'm an educational psychologist. I did the integrated learning therapy that opened my eyes for a lot of these things about natural versus modern. And I also did the baby gym instructor course a while back. And I was a baby gym instructor for a few years. Thoroughly enjoyed it, learned a lot about the advantages of a natural birth or the advantages of breastfeeding. That being said, I'm also a mom, so I thoroughly realize that you get judged whichever route you choose, and I also know that there's a place for every single route. So I was the mom that really wanted to have a natural birth, that really wanted to breastfeed, but I had a friend who was saying straight out from the beginning, I'm not a milk cow, I want the C-section, I want the bottle feeding, and her child is wonderful and clever and all of the...
Yeah, no, definitely. I do agree with you. I was one of the moms where, due to my training, I obviously wanted to go the natural route as far as possible, and unfortunately we couldn't. My oldest boy was quite big and I'm very small, and on top of that he was a breech baby. So our doctor just advised us and said, no, you're not going to have a natural birth. And of course, I know there's a lot of times where you actually plan to have a natural birth and then it doesn't happen that way as well. And that can also be very traumatic to you. But we're not here today to say X, Y, Z, you should or you shouldn't. What we want to say is it's okay. Stuff happens, life happens. You are allowed to choose and make your own choices as well. However, there are a lot of benefits to natural birth and to breastfeeding even. So we're going to jump in and talk about if you do find yourself in a situation by choice or whatever the circumstances may have been, if you find yourself ending up with a caesarian, what is the additional things that you can do to help your child reach all of the milestones and thrive and flourish, like Marinda said? It's small little things that you can just alongside go and do your own research, but this is what we have found from years of experience and being in practice that it has been helpful. So yes, let's start with a natural birth, Marinda.
So your child will miss out on a lot of reflex repetitions going down the birth canal when you have a cesarean. So you need to make sure that they get that repetition in another way. A lot of tummy time, for example. Doing programs like baby gym or whichever stimulation program that you've researched, or looking at Marina's reflex course and seeing which exercises you can do to help integrate those reflexes that might have missed out on the repetitions it needed to go to sleep.
Yeah, so when you go into a natural birth, there's obviously very at the beginning, you don't give birth within 2 seconds, it takes a while. So your baby obviously gets prepared by all of the contractions. First it starts slowly and then it builds up. And as it builds up, your baby gets a chance to almost prepare himself. And then in that way, remember, oxytocin is one of the hormones. Your feel good, your attachment, yes, hormone. Your attachment hormone. And that's preparing the baby. It's the signal that your baby gives you to say, he's ready. Now with a cesarean baby, they don't get that chance. He's just taken out of your tummy. So again, like Marinda said, certain reflexes helps your baby to push himself through the birth canal. So if he does not get that opportunity, like she said, jump in with exercises. The other benefit of a natural birth is that your baby, you will see that when a baby is born, they have this white wax coating on top of them, and that also comes from the mom and moving through the birth canal, and that helps them to build up a strong immune system, and it also helps prevent reflux and ear infections. And as the baby moves through the birth canal, it pushes all of the fluid out of their lungs and it pushes it out of their ears, etc. So it helps to prepare them to breathe better and to be healthy.
And to prevent breathing problems.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, if you don't have a natural birth, there's certain things that you can ask then. You can ask for your baby not to be bathed immediately so that they do have time to lay in that white substance and build the immune system. We see in our practice a lot of it. Now, I'm one of the mommies where I was, like I explained, I was a caesarian mom. And although I didn't have a choice, I decided that certain things I want to go that route. Now, we saw that our boy had a lot of reflux and ear infections, and it has been proven as well that if you have a cesarean baby, that they too do tend to get more inflammation. Infection. Yes, there you go. So again, if you know that, then you can go and make sure that if you, for instance, breastfeed or bottle feed, that you hold your baby in a certain way to prevent, on top of the additional factors, ear infections. So maybe you can jump in with a bottle feeding. We'll get back to, or breastfeeding at least. We'll get.
So I want to start right there where they take your baby out. On top of not bathing them, let them put them skin on skin on your chest. Okay, don't let them swaddle them immediately. Get that naked baby body on your naked chest to get the skin on skin and to also stimulate the love hormone. Remember, your baby gets all of those hormones with you, your body releasing it, giving it to them, their body's releasing it. So they miss out a bit on that when they are taken out via cesarean. So give them the opportunity to have some extra skin on skin time to stimulate that production. And then when you get to the feeding part and you feed them, make sure the ear is higher than the mouth, so that when they suck and swallow, there's no excess fluid building up in the ear canals. And when you choose then to breast or bottle feed, you need to make sure that you swap sides. With breastfeeding, that's a natural part of breastfeeding because you need to go to both breasts. With bottle feeding, we always have a side that's more comfortable, a stronger arm and a cleverer arm, and you tend to keep them in that same position because it's more comfortable for you. But we need to swap them around so that they have the stimulation on both sides of the eyes and the ears, and also of the neck muscles, so that they don't get stiff to the one side and then you inhibit the development because they only roll to one side or they only tend to look to one side because they've got a stiff neck muscle.
And what happens a lot of times as well is you have to work very hard when you breastfeed as a baby. So the vacuum, like Miranda always talks about, that your tongue needs to form to suck out the milk. It's so easy for babies to be lazy with a bottle. Okay, so if you take a bottle and you turn it upside down, you'll see a lot of bottles, the milk just drips away. So what happens at the end of the day is the baby doesn't need to suck that hard. And for your child to develop proper, strong eye muscles as well as the mouth muscles needed for speech development in the future, it's good then in that case, if you choose to do the bottle feeding, to go for a smaller teat that does not allow the milk to just run out. And then in that case, your baby is forced to suck harder. You're not actually going to, it's not detrimental for your baby to work harder.
No,
exactly. If, for instance, if you go back to a small premature baby, what we find often in the practice, and that has been proven as well, is the longer you stay in the uterus, the harder the baby needs to work out against the uterus. So they develop strong muscles, so that by the time that they're born, their muscle tone is quite good compared to a premature baby, which also it can happen because you have twins or there's some sort of medical reason why you went into labor earlier. So in that case, make sure, again, tummy time, get your boy or girl more stimulation than maybe a normal child that was a full term or not a premature baby, just so that they can play catch up, so that they can learn how to stretch and how to build their muscles better. In that sense, I also want to quickly touch, we talked about the bottles, and now you mentioned something, Miranda, about the Medilla bottle.
Yes.
So although it's expensive, it's a very good bottle to buy.
We want that mouth and tongue muscles to work hard to prepare them for speech. Okay, so we don't want them to get lazy on the bottles. With the Medela bottle, it's actually simulates the natural feeding process of feeding on a breast, where they have to form a vacuum with their tongue over the breast to get any milk out. It works the same way with the Medela bottle, for example. I only know the Medela, but I'm sure there's other brands that do the same thing.
She's not getting paid to say anything about this bottle.
I just use that to for when I had to go to work, then my babies would feed from the Medela bottle, so that they don't get the nipple confusion, so that they don't have an easy bottle and become lazy and then don't want to breastfeed when I'm home anymore. So I really found that to be an amazing bottle, and we want those tongue and cheek muscles to be prepared for the R and the different sounds they need to make when they go to school. So it already starts when they are that small. Also, when they go through the birth canal, they get a nice manipulation of the body, and if they miss out on that with the caesarean section, make sure you take them to a chiropractor or a pediatric physio or pediatric chiro that knows what they're doing to just manipulate their bodies. That often improves sleep. It improves feeding. It can take away colicky-like symptoms, because if you're not happy with your body, your gut and your tummy is not going to be happy, and you're going to have cramps. So it really makes a big difference. So keep that in mind if you've got a caesarean baby.
Definitely. So as you can hear, we're not choosing any sides. I was in a position where I had to breastfeed. I started out with breastfeeding, and then I had to go over to bottle feeding with both our children. And I had cesarean sections, and she was a natural birth mommy, and she managed to breastfeed, which I take my hat off to you. I wish I could do that. But again, this is not about taking sides. It's about educating ourselves to say, okay, if this is what I choose, what else can I look out for? Because we do end up in a situation a lot of times where, because of ignorance, we miss out on certain benefits that is related to natural birth and breastfeeding.
And both come with its own challenges.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
I mean, if you get a cesarean, your healing time is much longer, and you need to really look after yourself so that you don't hurt yourself and get complications afterwards. And also another thing that I'm thinking of now, if you have a cesarean but you want to breastfeed, breastfeeding can sometimes be a little bit delayed because of the cesarean. It's just the hormones again. So it's not because your body can't do it. It's just the hormones. So if that is what you want to do, just persevere with that. Get a lactation consultant. There's experts that can really help you with this. So if that is what you want to do, don't think that you can't because you now chose a cesarean. Get the help that you need, and then do what works for you, what works for your baby and your situation. Whatever you do, our main focus just wants to be to make sure that you and your baby get what you need in your specific scenario.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we want to take hands as moms. We don't want to judge each other like it oftentimes happen. We want to put the message out there. Let's take hands. Let's love one another. Let's support one another. Goodness gracious, it's quite tough to raise a baby beforehand. So let's support one another. Until we speak again, look out for in the comment section. Look out for some resources that we will provide. And this is a topic that's ongoing as well. It's not a once-off. It's going to be a reoccurring thing that we're going to focus on in the future.
Also, pop in your resources.
Yes.
Share with each other. Let's share what worked for you. Maybe you can help another mommy that's struggling with the same thing.
Yes. Until we see each other again next time, keep well.